Hello guys, welcome back to our Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Swallowed Star based on novel. So let's start. Royal Father, this Luo Feng is obviously the strongest one there. After this battle, who would dare call our Black Dragon Mountain Empire weak? The third prince was the first to stand, shouting proudly, Nanshan armament. The silver-haired old man Bu Durasuka said, right, it's the Nanshan armament. Beside him the royal uncle nodded too, Nanshan armament. The emperor was shocked, one of the 9 god weapons of the controller, that Nanshan armament. That dark golden long rod. I initially thought it was a close combat rod-like weapon. The silver-haired old man Bu Durasuka said, just now what Luo Feng used was, the first move, the illusion blade of the Nanshan armament. Looking at how he used it, he obviously has a good grasp of the first level. To be able to unleash it like that at the star level, he could be said to be invincible within the entire star level. Even within the Ganwu universe, the number of people who are able to match up to Luo Feng are extremely rare, right? To be able to unleash the first level, one has to have a comprehension of the golden origin laws. The royal uncle beside said, meaning, Luo Feng is a genius that has stepped through the gateway of the origin laws. And according to the estimate of the genius battle, within the Ganwu universe, the number of geniuses that have stepped through the origin laws gateway is only about 100, and the arena wars are split into 1,000 a group. The chances of another with origin laws comprehension appearing is extremely rare, unless there's another absolute warrior like Luo Feng who didn't reveal his true strength in the first elimination stage. Just like the last time when Hong took the stage, that lady warrior was definitely one who stepped through the gateway of the origin laws. However, her rank was still only in the 10s, creating a chance for both the warriors who had comprehended the laws to meet. The royal uncle emphasized. Indeed. Back during the 100 world elimination stage, every world had a few with origin law comprehension, like Luo Feng and Windmill. However, they confined themselves to their own city. F the two had wandered about into other cities, and defeated the absolute warriors from there with their strengths. These two could have easily rushed into their world's top 10. The moment they made it into the top 10. According to their ranking, Luo Feng and Pushkin would definitely not have been in the same group. Everything was going according to his plan. Within this group of 100, he was the only one who had stepped through the gateway of the origin laws. As he was also using the Nanshan armament, with just one move Luo Feng could tell that Pushkin was already injured. If he had continued to fight on, Pushkin would definitely die without doubt. Luo Feng didn't want to waste any more time on Pushkin. Pushkin didn't want to let himself die because of Janelli either. Hence he chose not to fight as it was the best option for him, bastard. That Janelli cursed under his breath while fleeing as fast as he could, fleeing. Luo Feng quickly chased after him with the soaring shuttle, so fast. Janelli's expression changed drastically. Once one comprehended the origin laws, whether it was based on attack, defense, flight or movement, these areas would all have great improvements. Luo Feng had caught up with Janelli in the blink of an eye, scum, 2 long arc blades. He had a complicated struggling expression as he shouted, go and die with a step. The space itself seemed to warp around him as Janelli suddenly rushed towards Luo Feng. Light domain. Luo Feng scorned coldly, swiftly retreating, first technique. Luo Feng's gaze was cold. Compared to some who had stepped through the gateway of the origin laws, Luo Feng was even more intrepid. That was because the laws that he had comprehension of could be completely unleashed through the Nanshan armament, rumble. The golden rainbow shot like a beam of golden light, and attacked Janelli in an instant. Clang. Janelli crossed his blades and pushed them forward. Following that one clash, his entire body and throat trembled from the shock, as he spit out fresh blood that was rising up his throat. Just like the absolute geniuses in the Ganwu secret areas, once one had a comprehension of the gold origin laws, they would indeed have a crazy amount of power. He actually blocked it. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows, rumble, the golden rainbow shot once again towards him. I can't block it head on, however I have no other choice. At the same time, it's too fast and I have no time to dodge it. Janelli thought hard to come up with a solution. He could only use his 2 blades to block it again. However, this time his arms had already weakened and he was already injured from the first blow. The 2 blades were immediately knocked away, while the golden rainbow slightly arced and pierced right through the pale-looking Janelli, right through his forehead. His head exploded. Janelli died. Completely eliminated from the tournament. The 382nd group of the Arena Wars, 90 have been eliminated and the remaining 10 will have the right to contend for the spot in the 900 slots of the name list. A low voice resounded with the minds of everyone in the dojo. The other 9 survivors, including Pushkin, all looked at the black-haired youth carrying the dark golden long rod filled with killing intent. If one said that the most fearless in Hong's group was Savage, then this group's most fearless person was undoubtedly the madman Luo Feng, Luo Feng, Luo Feng, Luo Feng. The over 1 million Black Dragon Mountain Star Field spectators roared with a lot of passion and enthusiasm. All of them were shouting with strength and hysteria, their expressions seemingly mad, and not even caring at all about their throats. The entire dojo, the ones who had the most right to roar like that, were the people from the Black Dragon Mountain Star Field. Their roar shook the earth and heavens. He is Luo Feng. As they were being teleported out, the 9 other survivors began to discuss and guess. Eruption. The Black Dragon Mountain Imperial Palace had erupted. The entire Black Dragon Mountain Islands, trillion citizens, all erupted. The entire starfields, over 8,000 galaxies, countless people watching the broadcast, all erupted. Too brutal, too powerful. Luo Feng is too fearless, thrilling, strong. He is a genius from our Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. Yes, from our Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. The countless people from the Empire were incomparably excited. In the past 100,000 to a million years, there were indeed several times the Black Dragon Mountain Empire had people rush into the top 10,000, which was worthy of their excitement and pride. However, after making it into the top 10,000, it was mostly based on luck. It had been a long time since the Black Dragon Mountain Empire had such a tyrannical display of power from its warriors in such an elite battleground. Yes, brutal. Savage. In this arena wars, I'm the number 1 man. I'll kill whomever I want. I will create a path of slaughter. Even the war god like Pushkin had to lower his head and cower away. In the arena, Luo Feng was the king. The emperor. The others all had to lower their heads. Too thrilling. Luo Feng's power is too dominating. It was a total decimation with no resistance at all. Those weaker ones were simply cleared away with one move. I heard Luo Feng uses the Nanshan armament. Don't you know what that is? That's one of the 9 godly weapons for the spirit reader controllers. After the arena wars comes the 1v1 battles. Luo Feng's strength will definitely be able to make it into that 900 name list. Luo Feng will definitely be able to represent the Ganwu universe country and compete with the other geniuses from the other universe countries. Haha, Luo Feng is from our Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Madness. Much news regarding Luo Feng began to circulate, including many fan clubs that swiftly began to form in order to support him. In many virtual universe games, there were many I love you Luo Feng, or Luo Feng the Master, or Luo Feng's wife, or I am Luo Feng's senior, even I am Luo Feng's master. Such nicknames surfaced all over. During this battle, Luo Feng's strength had won over 1 trillion people. Black Dragon Mountain Island, within a luxurious palace, endless possibilities in his future. The silver-haired old man exclaimed, this Luo Feng's future is very hard to predict, right? That royal uncle also nodded his head. Is there no way for us to get him into the sacred land? Sitting in the center, the emperor asked softly. The 2 sector lords who sat beside him shook their heads, of which the silver-haired old man Bu Darasuka explained, Your Majesty, stepping through the gateway of the origin laws at only star level, these sort of absolute geniuses aren't for our Black Dragon Mountain sacred land. The emperor was shocked. Unlike the Ganwu universe country's leader, who had built the universe country over 1 trillion years ago, and had been their one and only one leader, the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's emperor would always change after a period of time. Hence, there were many secrets that this emperor was clueless about. Hasn't your Majesty already seen that in the entire universe country, there's only one Ganwu dojo, and it's forbidden for dojos of any other sort to open? The silver-haired old man asked. Ganwu universe country indeed respects the lowest of talents and absorbs them. The emperor nodded. It's because of this that a genius like Luo Feng, even if we discover him, he'll still finally end up in the hands of the Ganwu universe country. The silver-haired old man shook his head, and we can't even make any complaint about it. Of course, no matter what happens, he is still considered to have been from our Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. Whatever accomplishments he has in the future will still have benefits for our Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. Such a genius, it's better to be on good terms with. Be it 10,000 years or 100,000 years later, who knows what he'll become and what he'll have accomplished. The silver-haired old man emphasized, I understand. The emperor nodded. Such talent, as long as he didn't die along the way, it was set in stone for him to become a sector lord. And these sorts of star levels who have stepped through the gateway of the origin laws, once they reach the sector lord level, they would be an absolute warrior amongst the others. The moment he breaks through to the undying level, that would be a step towards the heaven-shaking undying being. An undying being in the entire Black Dragon Mountain Empire currently, there were only two undying. One was the god leader of the Black Dragon Mountain Sacred Land and the other was the god leader of the Ice Leviathan God Country. Hence the Black Dragon Mountain didn't dare easily offend any undying. In a vast god country, within the continuous mountain range, volcanoes were dispersed throughout this large continent, with some spitting fire occasionally. The entire god country was entirely dark red in color, and the smell of sulfur emanated throughout. At the peak of a tall mountain that reached the clouds, an ancient palace was built there. Its entire surface walls had complex engravings all over. Within the palace, in the throne, sat a red-eyed man dressed in a dark red long robe. Black flames were burning about his surroundings, his eyes seemed to be looking from another dimension altogether, giving off a terrifying heart-palpitating chill. Below him on both the right and left were 4 thrones. Currently there were 3 people sitting below him. All of them were giving off energy waves that shook the earth and skies, almost as though just lifting their hands could split the earth and heavens. God leader, this punk called Luo Feng has some comprehension of the origin laws even though he's only at the star level. He's most suitable to become my disciple, said a warrior wrapped in golden armor. Emanating from his entire body was a heart-palpitating ripple, which was the gold origin law's ripple of energy. Compared to Luo Feng, this was 1,000,000,000 times stronger. Woe Te, my brother. The dark red-eyed man said with a hoarse voice softly, I know that right now you are desperately searching for a disciple. However, we cannot fight with the Ganwu Universe country, Woe Te. The other 2 looked at the golden-armored man, my lifespan is reaching its end. The gold-armored man said calmly, and the current disciples, even though they have talent, for them to actually succeed my techniques would be extremely difficult. I cannot change my demise. Hence, I only want to look for someone to pass my legacy onto before I die. I hope to be able to see the techniques that I have created over these hundreds of millions of years to once again be unleashed. Only then can I die in peace. This is my current greatest hope. The others were silent. Undying, they were indeed an eternal being. But that doesn't mean that an undying couldn't die. Like the Yunmo Planet Master, or the many powerful undying in history, they still died. The life force of an undying was extremely strong. Even if their physical body was ripped into shreds, they could still regenerate. There were very few injuries that cannot be healed, like the Yunmo Planet Master, who could only watch himself die. Woe Te, my brother. I will do my best to help you find an exceptional disciple. The red-eyed man emphasized, as for that punk Luo Feng, as long as he's not stupid, he will definitely choose the Ganwu Universe country, maybe even the stronger and more powerful virtual universe company. Even after so many years, things haven't changed much at all. The pinnacle of geniuses also require them to make the best choices and have the best environment to learn, before they can have the most outstanding achievements. In terms of power or environment, we indeed cannot compare to the Ganwu Universe country. The golden armored man didn't make a sound. His proudest achievements over hundreds of millions of years was the techniques he had created. During the time he was alive, he treated these as though they were treasures, and not even teaching it to his disciples, or displaying it anywhere else. He would only teach his disciples very little of it. Now that he knew that his death was certain and imminent, his thinking had changed completely. He really wanted to watch a disciple complete his technique. If that was impossible, then he could only leave his techniques to his friends and brothers, allowing them to teach the disciple in his place. Just like the Yunmo Planet Master allowing Barbata to teach in his place, God Leader. The golden armored man stood up, Woe Te. The red-eyed man stood up too, the other 2 followed. I'm tired, I want to return to my home. The gold-armored man sighed, before I die, I want to take a good look at my home grounds. Finishing his words, he turned and flew out of the palace. As an undying, his relatives had long vanished over the course of time. After all, even a sector lord at most lived 10 million years. The other 3 were silent. Woe Te, my disciple, I will help you with your search. The red-eyed man communicated into the gold-armored man's mind 1,000,000 li away. Within the palace, the 3 exchanged glances. It was fake, we were deceived, Kuan Shalo that bastard. We will definitely find him and make him pay. Woe Te's death is because of him. He actually dared to sell us a fake secret area map. The red-eyed man's angry whisper turned into a roar, and the surrounding space trembled. Kuan Shalo is one of the subjects of the Ganwu universe country leader. It'll be hard for us to find a chance, wait, even if I have to wait over 100 million years, 1 billion years, or even a 10 billion years. As long as there's a chance. I, Meng Hua, will definitely personally kill him. He actually dared to use a fake secret area map and take away my money, also taking away the life of one of my brothers. Dead. I will definitely kill him. If he knows what's good for him, he will hide under the Ganwu universe country leader's protection for the rest of his life. The red-eyed man roared angrily. Black flames rose fiercely from the ground, and the entire palace began to burn within and was reduced to nothing. His roar resounded throughout the vast trillion li in the God country. Black Dragon Mountain Island. Becoming famous after one battle. Luo Feng had really become famous through that one battle. This one battle not only shook the entire Black Dragon Mountain Empire, but also the entire Ganwu universe country. Daddy, everybody in the Black Dragon Mountain Island now knows how you look. The moment you go out, you'll be recognized very quickly. Little Hai clapped his hands and jumped around beside Luo Feng, as he was obviously very proud. I'll have to disguise myself next time I go out. Luo Feng rubbed his head, it's kind of weird though. Beside, Shushin stood up and poured some tea for Luo Feng. Smiling, after the elimination the last time, many organizations sent people over. After this arena war battle however, your performance was definitely the most eye-catching. I thought even more organizations and powers will come. However up till now, no one has come at all, it is kind of weird. Luo Feng nodded. Suddenly, ha ha Luo Feng. A clear carefree voice resounded, we were just saying no one came, and now someone has come. Shushin turned to look, speaking softly, it's people from the Three Axe Mountain organization. Luo Feng looked, indeed. There were three men walking over from the distance. In the middle was a kind-looking smiling old man, with a head full of white. On the left was a man dressed in dark red battle robes and the one on the right was the tall and sturdy Mingyu. With experience from the Ganwu auction, he could easily deduce from looking that dark red battle-robed man was definitely a sector lord. And there was a thunder mark on his forehead. Obviously he was a sector lord recognized by the Thunder Origin laws, a sector lord that belonged to the pinnacle of other sector lords. As for that kind-looking old man, Luo Feng couldn't tell, but since he walked in the center, he estimated that the old man's position was the highest, Lord Mingyu. Luo Feng quickly stood up, ha ha, I'm no lord here. Luo Feng, let me introduce you all. Mingyu smiled and pointed at the dark red battle-robed man, this is our Three Axe Mountains General Jiang Tianchen, amongst the sector lords in the Black Dragon Mountain starfield, he's definitely at the peak. My respects General. Luo Feng paid his respects. Jiang Tianchen nodded, this. Mingyu began introducing the white-haired old man, his voice changing slightly in tone, is our Three Axe Mountains one of the three great founders, the head general, head general. Luo Feng quickly bowed. However, his mind was in a flurry of emotions. Head general. Of the three great founders of the Three Axe Mountain, two of them were undying, and the final one had vanished. Which was this one? The old man slightly nodded, where's Hong? Mingyu said, the head general wishes to see him. No problem, I'll look for him. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng, Thunder God, Mingyu and Jiang Tianchen all stood outside, while inside the house only the head general and Hong stayed. 30. Why has the head general come looking for Big Brother? Thunder God asked, no idea. Luo Feng shook his head, it's a good thing. Beside them Mingyu smiled, let's hope he doesn't disappoint the head general. Besides him the sector Lord Jiang Tianchen said coldly. Within the house, there were only two people present, Hong and the head general Luo, what? Hong looked shocked at the old white-haired man before him, head general, you this legendary being spoke only a few words. But this had already given Hong a shock, your talent is not bad, your character is also similar to myself back then. As for teaching you, even though I haven't become an undying, when it comes to the light origin laws and domain I am definitely sufficient and capable of becoming your teacher. The old man shook his head, however there's one thing I have to warn you about, my lifespan is reaching its end. I only have about 20,000 more years to live. You only have about 20,000 years left in your lifespan. Hong was shocked. A sector lord's lifespan was very long, up to 10 million years. Yet before him, this legendary head general's was reaching its end. The old man shook his head and sighed. That voice was filled with endless bitterness. Hong, you and I really have an affinity. Your name is Hong, mine is Luo, both one syllable. You had your domain in the Star Traveler level, me too. I do not fear death. I have taken the path of becoming the strongest, and wanting to scale the pinnacle of life's greatest. Even in the Huge Axe Dojo, I have won 1,000 continuous matches, acquiring the domain Lord Huge Axe Fighter title. The old man exclaimed, and later on, along with my good friends, 2 similar domain lords who acquired the Huge Axe Dojo fighter title, Moli Ya and Lai Mengtuo, we founded the 3 Axe Mountain organization together. Back then, I was the leader and the 2 assisted me. Later on they both became undying, yet I remained a sector lord. Ambition. If my plan had succeeded, the moment I became an undying, I would have become an absolute warrior amongst the undying. The old man's eyes gleamed. It burned an incomparably strong sense of longing. Even if I joined the Ganwu Universe country, I would have immediately become the ultimate undying at the peak under the country leader. An undying under the Ganwu Universe country leader. Hong was shocked. Within Black Dragon Mountain Starfield, do you know how many undying there are? The old man asked. 2. Hong replied. The God Country leader of Ice Neptune and Sacred Land Black Dragon Mountain leader, both were undying. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God all knew this. How many starfields are there in the Ganwu Universe country? The old man asked. Over 13,000. Hong was shocked. If every starfield had 2 undyings, with all of them added together, that would be shocking. Ha ha. The old man laughed. The number of undying under the Ganwu country leader exceeds 10,000. And there are many more that belong to the Virtual Universe Company, Huge Axe Dojo, Universe First Bank, Universe Galaxy Bank and Universe Mercenary Alliance, these 5 great leviathans. Over 10,000. Hong held his breath. Don't be surprised. Why don't you take a look at just how vast a universe country is? The old man exclaimed. It may look like a lot, but it is the result of countless years of work. In terms of probability, for a sector lord to break through to the undying, the probability is simply too low. A sector lord's lifespan barely exceeds 10 million years. 9-star Bay Little District. Luo Feng and Thunder God watched as the old man, Jiang Tianchen, and Mingyu left Big Brother. Thunder God asked, what did that head general find you for? Luo Feng too looked at Hong. He wants to accept me as his disciple. Hong laughed, thinking about it. I'm considered a pioneer of the first generation on Earth. Yet, as someone else accepting me as a disciple, I can't help but say, the strong of the universe are indeed plenty, with many of them from other places, and are much stronger than us. They do have the rights to be our teachers. I was actually prepared to accept him earlier, it didn't happen. Luo Feng was shocked. Right. Hong nodded. If I do take him as my teacher, I will have to follow him and wander around. Leaving Earth, leaving the Black Dragon Mountain Starfield and wandering the universe for 20,000 years. 20,000 years. Thunder God stared. I was hesitating whether or not to take him as my teacher. Hong creased his eyebrows. Actually, even if I wander the universe with him, I can still contact my family through the virtual universe network, and meet you guys there as well. However, leaving Earth for 20,000 years, it still feels. China's culture was only 5,000 years old. Hong has to wander about in the universe for 20,000 years. To Hong, who wasn't even 100 years old, this was indeed an extravagant number. Of course you have to take him as your teacher. The little virtual assistant on Luo Feng's shoulder, Barbata, raised his tiny hand and pointed at Hong. You idiot, that is Luo. The founder of the 3-Axe Mountain Luo. The one people deem as the Time Sector Lord. Many undying stay on good terms with him, and treat him on equal grounds. Many sector lords are willing to listen to his pointers. This is a truly respectable and big figure in the Black Dragon Mountain Starfield. Time Sector Lord, Luo Feng and Thunder God were shocked by that name. Time Sector Lord, what a bombastic name. The virtual assistant on Thunder God's shoulder, Lord Wu, glared at Barbata. Only a spoiled wimpy brat will brag like that. That old man earlier dares to call himself the Time Sector Lord, you sick pervert, who was locked in isolation for 10 million years, what do you know? Barbata pointed at Lord Wu. Luo is a top-notch figure of these 10 million years. During that time you were locked away in the world within a world, you don't know anything. You have no right at all to talk crap. You better listen to this demon lord here, you wimpy brat. Lord Wu roared. I've followed my owner for over 10 million years, I've lived longer than you. Barbata pointed at Lord Wu and roared. Luo Feng and Thunder God rubbed their heads. My God. These two living eyes. Every time they met, they would engage in a squabble. I will think well about it. Hong went silent. Listen to me, there's no wrong in it. Barbata repeated. The arrival of the legendary head General Luo from the 3-Axe Mountain had indeed led to Hong thinking. In the meantime, the groups in the arena wars engaged in their battles swiftly, very quickly. After 5 days worth of time, the 1,000 groups had finished all their battles, with 90,000 being eliminated, and only 10,000 left. These 10,000 had the chance to enter the name list with only 900 slots. After entering the name list, one could represent the Ganwu universe country, and compete against the pinnacle of geniuses from the other universe countries. Once the arena wars had ended, the Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-star Bay once again received 2 guests, Luo Feng. A familiar voice resounded. Luo Feng turned to look. It was that old man with a head full of white, Asuka sector lord. This silver-haired old man was standing beside a pale and expressionless man with purple eyes. On his forehead this man had one more vertical eye, it was looking casually at Luo Feng. A formless force of energy transmitted over. Luo Feng grit his teeth, this person's aura was extremely strong, not bad. The purple-eyed man slightly nodded. Luo Feng, let me introduce you, this is a great undying being from the Ganwu universe country, the god leader Kuan Shalo. The silver-haired old man introduced. Luo Feng stared at the expressionless purple-eyed man before him whose aura was extremely powerful, and he felt extremely shocked by this aura. After so many years, he had never come face to face with an actual undying. Undying, that level of being, maybe in places like the Ganwu universe country, which is a high-level civilization, an undying still had to lower his head. However, in other empires, no one dared provoke an undying. An eternal being. One who could split the land and skies. He actually came to visit him, my respects god leader. Luo Feng bowed respectfully, Kuan Shalo slightly nodded. Even though this Kuan Shalo was a man, he gave Luo Feng a feeling, a very peculiar feeling. His aura was peculiar, it was almost like an aura of an extremely gentle lady. Only that vertical, I would occasionally give off a bone-chilling heart-palpitating feeling. According to the country leader's order, if you can make it into the entire universe's top 1,000 and enter the virtual universe company, becoming one of their internal core member, that will be a good thing. Not only will it be beneficial for you, our Ganwu universe country will also receive huge rewards. However, if you fail, you can enter our Ganwu universe country instead. With your current talent, you have the qualifications to enter our secret land of our universe country, the Ganwu secret area. Kuan Shalo said, within the Ganwu secret area, you too will receive the best nurturing and training. Kuan Shalo glanced at Luo Feng, little punk. To achieve the top 1,000 of the entire universe, I'd advise you to not get your hopes up. To be able to enter the universe country's Ganwu secret area, is already countless people's dream. Finishing up, Kuan Shalo immediately vanished. Luo Feng, congratulations. The silver-haired old man said, right. Undyings, most of them are eccentric. Don't mind him too much. The silver-haired man laughed, I don't mind. Luo Feng smiled, would I dare to actually receive an undying messenger? This states just how much the Ganwu country leader values your talent. The silver-haired old man smiled, from what I know, from this batch of geniuses, the ones that got the same notification to be able to enter the Ganwu secret area, are only those who've stepped through the gateway of the origin laws. Luo Feng nodded. Very quickly, the silver-haired old man left too. Luo Feng quietly sat within his own house, pondering. 2 paths, one of them was to enter the Ganwu universe country core, the other one was to enter the core of the virtual universe company. On Luo Feng's shoulder, Barbata yawned and muttered, don't think about it, the virtual universe company, that sort of super leviathan, its wealth and resources will shock you. To be trained by them with countless amount of valuable resources, one would have to be at the level of elites of the entire universe, as their natural talents are absolute. To be trained and nurtured while receiving only the best resources, as long as they don't die along the way in the elimination stages, their achievements would all be amazing in the future. Die. Luo Feng was shocked, these are the absolute pinnacle of geniuses from the 1008 human universe countries, will they die so easily to nurture and produce the best? The best process is death by elimination, isn't that very normal? Barbata shook his head, no matter who it is, without experiencing the fear of life and death, how will one improve? And during these life or death experiences, how can one not get injured? Luo Feng couldn't help but nod his head, don't think about it, people have different paths from you. Barbata shook his head, that Kuan Shalo said the right thing. The most realistic path is to enter the Ganwu universe secret area. This Ganwu universe country is also considered a huge power within the universe. The Ganwu country leader, that is an even bigger power, a super existence that can shake the entire universe by entering the Ganwu secret area and receiving the best nurture. Your achievements will be extremely high in the future. Barbata said, Back then your teacher lost out as he was a lone wolf. If your teacher had a backing like the Ganwu country leader, that sort of existence, how would that bastard dare come kill your teacher? Ganwu country leader, is he much more powerful than my teacher? Luo Feng was shocked. Sitting in the chair, Luo Feng poured himself a cup of tea. As it flowed into the cup, a thought occurred to him. Barbata is right. My current strength is far from that of an absolute genius. If I want to make it into the universe top 1000, it is indeed hard. My skills, control of spirit weapon, battle experience, amplifier and mental state, these may all be not bad. However, compared to all the geniuses of the entire universe, it definitely ain't at the top. A few powerful warriors, like my teacher, or that Luo, towards the later stages in life have all created their own secret techniques. Of course, no matter what I do, I have to do it step by step. I first have to learn the techniques created by others first before slowly creating my own. And the current me, I've just begun. In a group of sheep, even if I become the strongest, I'd still only be a stronger sheep, and compared to a group of lions, even if I'm not the strongest, I'd still be an intrepid lion. To improve, I have to get into the core of the virtual universe company. I am weak, but the main reason is because my training time is too short. This genius battle stretches on for quite some time. I still have time to get stronger. Luo Feng pondered, his eyebrows creased. The Leviathan of the human universe, the virtual universe company's core, it only absorbs 1,000 geniuses every 10,000 years. After generations, there should be millions of geniuses within. And after countless years of toil, the number of undying within would far exceed that of the Ganwu universe country. Within there, that was where the true outstanding and pinnacle of strengths were. If I want to compete, I have to compete with the strongest. My training time is short. But as time goes on, I will be able to catch up to them. Hard work. Right now the first goal is to get into the 1,000 slots of the Ganwu universe country internal name list. Luo Feng made the decision without discussing more with Barbata. Growing up, Luo Feng had never admitted defeat before. Even against the incomparably powerful and seemingly invincible golden horned beast before, Luo Feng never stepped back. If it was said that his younger brother Luo Hua enjoyed the battle in the universe financial market, every time going in to compete and slaughter, earning and making fortunes. Chinatime year 2066, July 22nd, night. Virtual Universe Black Dragon Mountain Island, 9-Star Bay District, Luo Feng's living room. Luo Feng, Hong and Thunder God were gathered there with 10 other people. How are the arena fights going to be distributed, brother-in-law? Who are you fighting against in the first match? Only 900 slots, yet 10,000 people are competing. How do you even compete? A group of people were discussing, quiet. Luo Feng pointed to mid-air. Immediately a screen appeared above the dining table. On it were a blur of words with descriptions. This is the list for the 10,000 participants of the arena fights. The words are too small. The whole family ran over to take a closer look. Enlarge it. Luo Feng pointed at the corner of the screen and immediately a portion of the screen began to enlarge. There was Luo Feng's name there. Big brother, you are up against Saiwalo first. After winning that, you'll battle against the winner of the next group. Luo Hua examined it carefully. Right. Luo Feng nodded, looking at the people who surrounded him. Among them were his brother-in-law Shugang and others, even Hong and his children and families, Thunder God's daughter, and his own family. With a large group of people together, it was indeed bustling. This arena battle, the process itself is very simple. 1v1, the winner will advance, while the loser will enter the loser circle. These 10,000 people will be split into a total of 5,000 groups. Of which after the first battle, there will be 5,000 winners and 5,000 losers. The 5,000 winners will continue to fight it out, and after the second battle, there will remain 2,500 winners. Moving on after the third battle, there will remain 1,250 winners. After the fourth, there will only be 625 winners left. After the fourth battle, the 625 winners will immediately take up 625 slots of the name list. Luo Feng said. The rules were simple. 1v1, they only need to fight 4 battles. And there will be 625 left. China year 2066, July 23rd, Virtual Universe, in the space that belonged to the huge Axe Dojo. On island number 29,904, the arena duels were about to begin. Attention all. Standing in the center of the arena right now, is the genius from the Dragonhorn Starfield, Saiwalo. Following the loud announcement throughout the entire arena, the audience immediately erupted in a wave of cheers and roars. The over 100 million spectators from the Dragon Horn starfield were incomparably excited, all shouting as loud as they could, Saiwalo, you are the strongest. Over 100 million excited cheers could be heard. The two sides, from two different starfields, were both given 100 million tickets. Hence today's match had 1 billion spectators, of which 200 million were separately from the Black Dragon Mountain starfield and the Dragonhorn starfield. The next to take the stage is the one you've all been waiting for. From the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, an absolute genius, Luo Feng. The commentator's voice was even louder than the first time. Obviously the commentator was a little more biased towards Luo Feng. It wasn't just the Black Dragon Mountain Empire's over 100 million people cheering loudly. More than half the people from the other 800 million from the other starfields in the Ganwu universe country too were cheering his name. Even though both had made it through the arena wars, obviously Luo Feng, who had dominated his group, had won over the support from many in the Ganwu universe country. While a trillion eyes were watching him, Luo Feng followed the same pathway and walked into the center of the arena. The cheers got even louder. Countless human ladies of different races all shouted and screeched, some even fainting. The 100% virtual simulation had such an effect, even bodily functions were simulated. There were two youths standing in the arena. One with a dark golden long rod and dressed in dark grey armor, the black-haired youth Luo Feng. The other who was standing on a large board, smiling and with a gentle aura, Saiwalo, Luo Feng, all the best. Saiwalo bowed respectfully, displaying his manners. Luo Feng just stood there, completely immersed in his mental state, like a volcano, without any reaction at all. He didn't know why, even though Saiwalo before him seemed very courteous, it gave him an outrageous sense of discomfort. As for why he had that feeling, he couldn't explain it. You too. A tall, sturdy and handsome commentator smiled. This will be very similar to the arena wars. As the battle progresses, the space you have will continue to shrink. It'll only require 5 minutes, before the entire space will shrink down to only a diameter of 1 m. Hence your battle will at most last 5 minutes, thanks. Saiwalo smiled and looked at the commentator. Luo Feng only made a noise to reply, all right, let the battle begin, the commentator smiled. The moment he said begin, his entire being vanished, leaving only the two participants. Saiwalo stood on his huge board, swiftly flying into the distance, as quick as lightning, escaping. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. The soaring shuttle immediately became a beam of golden light, obviously faster than Saiwalo before. The original size of the arena was a diameter of 30 kilometers. As time passed, it shrank more and more. With Luo Feng and Saiwalo's speed, in the blink of an eye they were already at the edges of the space. Now's the time. Saiwalo could feel their distance closing. He suddenly turned and simultaneously Luo Feng, who was rushing over, decreased his speed as they grew dangerously close. Saiwalo's eyes had a gleam of madness. Go. Kill him. The huge board beneath his feet shot out a silver light. This light wrapped itself around his green energy flow around. It moved autonomously and separated into 9 silver arrows, shooting at Luo Feng at the same time. 9 silver arrows. It was like 9 shooting stars, shooting suddenly and swiftly at Luo Feng. Even though the Nanshan armament is powerful, it does have its weaknesses. Saiwalo's eyes were filled with a strong anticipation. One for victory. That is its defense. Its weakness is its defense. Your power is only so much, and you dare split it into 9. Luo Feng snorted coldly. And you really think I have no methods for defend myself? Luo Feng's thoughts moved. The soaring shuttle below him immediately shot out beams of light, swiftly forming 16 peculiar shields surrounding him. These 16 shields had golden threads weaving through them. The surface of the shields, 8 of which were facing outside while the other 8 were facing inwards, revolving both internally and externally. The speed was swift, as all of them were infused with some origin laws. This move, the sword array. The soaring shuttle's second form, its defensive form, the sword array. There were a total of 3 forms for the soaring shuttle. The first offensive form was the mountain bulwark, the defensive form was the mountain bulwark shield. The second form's offense was the golden swordfish, the defensive form was the sword array. As for the third form, one had to reach the universe level to use it. Hence the current Luo Feng could only use the swordfish formation along with the sword array. The 8 shields floated about his surroundings, the other 8 formed an outer layer. Inside and outside, covered with shields which revolved about and moved up and down, with golden light connecting them, an outrageous energy emanated from it. Infused with Luo Feng's comprehension of the golden origin laws, its defense was simply perfect. The 9 silver arrows shot over and the 16 shields slightly altered its speed, leaving no openings at all. Clashes could be heard. The power of the 9 silver arrows wasn't strong in the first place, it couldn't even move the 16 shields' defense. Actually, normal spirit weapons weren't like the soaring shuttle, which had many formations and uses. Under normal circumstances, the stronger one's spirit reading power was, the more focused the weapon would be. A pure attacking spirit weapon. A pure defensive one. A pure flying one. Gold represented strength and piercing power of the sun. This Nanshan armament was a purely offensive spirit weapon, extremely tyrannical. Offense. When it is condensed, it's very powerful, when it is separated it gets weaker. And this Sai Weiluo knew that if he did not risk it all he couldn't kill Luo Feng. Hence he gambled on Luo Feng not having a form of defense with his spirit weapons. Hence he controlled the 9 silver arrows. By dispersing his spirit energy through these 9 arrows, it made his energy and power divide by 9, making the power and strength drop. He was gambling it all on this one attack chance. Against the 9 silver arrows, Luo Feng using his Nanshan armament could at most block 2 or 3 of them, that way, Sai Weiluo would have a chance of victory. A pity Luo Feng had a defensive spirit weapon. It was the soaring shuttle. The soaring shuttle had flying and defensive capabilities along with offensive powers too. Because Luo Feng had trained rigorously and studied it, using the soaring shuttle's defensive form, the sword array, was the best option and choice. Maybe there were better defensive spirit weapons, but Luo Feng didn't have the time to study them. It's over. Sai Weiluo's expression changed. The golden long rod became a golden rainbow, and pierced right through his spirit weapon, and straight through his forehead. First battle, Luo Feng was victorious. Second battle, Luo Feng, I know I'm not your match, but I still want to compete with my all. Luo Feng's second opponent admitted at the moment he stepped on the arena, that he wasn't a match for him. Very quickly. Second battle, Luo Feng won easily. Third battle. The third opponent's strength was very strong, comparable to Pushkin. Especially the strength of the huge axe he used was shocking. However, against the 9 silver arrows from before, Luo Feng's Nanshan armament couldn't fight at all. However, against this huge axe, Luo Feng easily controlled the golden rainbow to fight force with force. By using the soaring shuttle, he stood at a distance and controlled it from afar. After 6 continuous attacks, that huge axe-wielding tall and sturdy man's arms were ripped and broken with blood spewing from his mouth, without any strength left in his arms to defend. The third battle, Luo Feng won again. 3 battles, 3 victories. Black Dragon Mountain Island 9-star Bay District, Luo Feng's home entrance. Luo Feng sat face to face with the silver-haired old man Bu Durasuka. You have achieved 3 victories in 3 battles. Right now the entire Black Dragon Mountain Island is filled with discussions about you. The silver-haired old man laughed. Within this virtual universe network, many entertainment programs and newscasts are all keeping an eye on you. Luo Feng laughed. Even while sitting at home, they could hear the people's cheers from the bars outside. These were all from the victories of Luo Feng. Due to these victories, there were large drunken celebrations all over. Lord Bu Durasuka, I'm pretty sure you came here not just to tell me these. Luo Feng smiled as he looked at the silver-haired old man. I bring word from His Majesty. The silver-haired old man looked at Luo Feng. In tomorrow's 4th match, as long as you win, you will receive a slot. His Majesty is hoping that you will prepare well and not get careless. After all, your opponent is very strong, I know. Luo Feng nodded. An image of his opponent appeared in his mind. That messy-haired bare-footed savage youth, defeat him. Luo Feng thought within. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.